Hi, it's Amy from Cakes with Faces and welcome back to Japan News. I started this series to highlight all the new places that are opening up when it seemed like all we were hearing was sad news about places closing down. And now that some of you are going back to Japan, I thought I'd carry it on to make sure you don't miss out on anything. Today we've got this new place, Dragon Palace, a huge new type of games arcade, a rooftop hot spring bath where you can watch planes, pop-up theme cafes and lots more. Before I carry on, I just wanted to say thank you for all the orders for my Japan guidebook. If you take it with you to Japan, I'd love to see photos of you with it there. You can tag me on Instagram or Twitter. Cakes with Faces is just me, so I'll definitely see them. First, as I mentioned last time, the cherry blossom forecast is out for this year. But if you'll be in Japan before the main cherry blossom season, which is at the end of March, start of April, there are still places you can see them from mid-February to mid-March. You could take a day trip to Matsuda City, which is an hour and a half outside Tokyo on the train, where there's 360 cherry blossom trees on Mount Matsuda. Or go to the Izu Peninsula for the Kawazu Cherry Blossom Festival. There's a row of sakura trees along the river that goes on for 4 kilometres. I made a video about all the things there are to do there, so you could spend a night or two there alongside your Tokyo trip. And there are also plum blossom festivals. Plum blossoms, or ume, bloom earlier than cherry blossoms, and they're a brighter pink colour. Next, there's a new Sanrio Cafe opening in Tokyo this month, and it's permanent. It's in Ueno, and it's called the Sanrio Characters Garden Cafe, with Hello Kitty and all her friends. Sadly not my favourite Gudetama. It has a nature theme, and it's full of flowers. The decorations will change seasonally, so there'll be the cherry blossoms and the autumn leaves. There's not many details yet or a menu, but on the reservation page online it mentions Hello Kitty, Kuromi and Pom Pom Purin sofas and a VIP room. Sounds intriguing. Next, pop-up theme cafes. As well as the permanent theme cafes, you also get limited time pop-ups. So here's some that are coming up. There's a Chainsaw Man pop-up cafe themed around the anime in Tokyo and Osaka until the 2nd of April and Nagoya until the 12th of March. Now, I haven't watched or read Chainsaw Man, so I don't know anything about it, but it says, have an ordinary dreamy time with a choice of bread and jam. And I like the sound of that. Now, if you make it to this next one, I will be very jealous. It's a Pui Pui Molka pop-up cafe. The first series is on Netflix and it's so cute. The food isn't super themed, but there's lots of merch and there's actual mole cars you can really drive. Amazing. It's in Fukuoka until the 12th of March and Osaka from the 18th of March to the 23rd of April. Next, there's a strawberry buffet with Rilakuma at the Keio Plaza Hotel in Tokyo until the end of March. Hotels sometimes have these themed buffets or dessert buffets which always look really fancy. Next is a Full Metal Alchemist cafe in Shinjuku until the 21st of March. The theming is better at some theme cafes than others, and at this one they've just put a picture of the characters next to the meal. I don't know if it has any other relevance to the story. Permanent cafes tend to be better themed than pop-ups in general, but if you like the characters, it's still exciting. Next, Vegetable Fairy is a series of characters that are part animal, part vegetable. So it makes sense that the menu at this theme cafe would be very healthy with lots of vegetables and smoothies. This donut is a carrot donut, so it's healthy. And I don't know if this is just Google Translate playing a trick on me, but there's also something called Lettuce Mania Devil Curry. That one's in Harajuku until the 14th of March and Kobe until the 26th of February. If you want to go to any of these cafes, make a reservation if you can, either online or when you get to Japan, because some of them are really popular and they do get booked up. Next, do you know Hachiko the dog? There's a statue of him in the famous square in Shibuya. The story goes he used to follow his owner on the way to work every day and wait for him at Shibuya station until he came home in the evening. And then one day when his owner died, he still waited there at the station, hoping he'd come home one day. It's heartbreaking. Well, this year it's Hachiko's 100th birthday. He was born in 1923. So look out for special merch, events and collaborations in Shibuya and in Akita, because Hachiko is an Akita dog. Next, Haneda Airport Garden is a new complex at Haneda Airport, Terminal 3, the international terminal, with shops, restaurants and hotels. But what's special about it is it has a rooftop open-air hot spring bath, so you can sit in the bath with a view of all the planes at the airport. It's definitely a unique experience. It's part of one of the hotels, but if you're not staying there, you can get a ticket just to go to the bath. Next, looking ahead, they're planning to build a new subway line in Tokyo, as if there aren't enough of them already. It'll connect Tokyo Station with Odaiba in Tokyo Bay, so you can get to Toyosu Fish Market and Big Sight, the convention centre, more easily. But don't get too excited because it's not going to be finished until the 2040s, so there's at least 17 years to wait. They're also planning a new train line between Haneda Airport and Tokyo Station, which will take just 18 minutes. That's really quick. It won't be running until 2029, but the good news is it'll be run by Japan Railways, so it'll be covered by your JR pass. It is very quick to get from Haneda into the city centre anyway, because it is quite close, but it means that if you're staying in the Tokyo Station area, you won't have to change trains anymore, so it's more convenient. Next, Asakusa Yokocho is a new restaurant complex in Tokyo, in Asakusa, themed around food and festivals. At weekends, there'll be dances and performances from various Japanese festivals, and there's also kimono rental, so you can wear a kimono while you eat and take loads of photos. It looks very themed with all these colourful signs and decorations. I spotted my favourite goldfish lanterns from Yanai. They're in my calendar this year. I can't decide about this one. I half really like it and half think it looks a little bit tacky. They do call it a cultural centre, so I hope it is authentic and not just made for tourists. Tell me what you think in the comments. There might be a trend for this sort of place because there's also another one called Dragon Palace Shinjuku, or to use the Japanese name, Ryu no Miyako Inshokugai Shinjuku Higashiguchi Yokocho. That one has 17 restaurants, food court style, and karaoke. It's also very themed. There's so much to look at. Again, I'm not sure about it. It does look kind of touristy when you could go to a real, authentic alleyway right there in Tokyo, but it does look fun. Next, you might have seen videos of the animated billboard in Tokyo in Shinjuku that looks like it's real 3D with a cat prowling around in it. But did you know that's not the only one? In November, they added a new one in Harajuku. That one has a cat, a dog, a donkey and a chick, based on a German folk story. That one's at the end of Takeshita Street, the famous shopping street in Harajuku. There's also one in Shibuya with an Akita dog, a tribute to our friend Hachiko. You can see that one from Shibuya Station and the famous Scramble Crossing. And I can only hope this trend continues. Even if it is just advertising, I'd love to see more cute 3D animals up on those billboards. Next, if you missed it in my last video, you can now get international tickets for the new Studio Ghibli Park. For now, they're only for one section of the park, so hopefully they'll roll it out to the other sections in future. They're from the official website and they go on sale month by month. If you want to get them, you need to buy them the minute they go on sale. Next, if you're a fan of the anime One Piece, there's now a One Piece themed gym in Tokyo. It's called Bragmen, which is kind of a funny name, like you can brag about how muscly you are after going to the gym. There's manga art on the walls, you can do exercise classes led by characters from the anime, and you can do weightlifting with a barbell that looks like a big chunk of meat on the bone. Next, if you like gachapon, figures, arcades, all those sorts of things, there's a new chain of stores called Bandai Namco Cross Store, and they're huge. The first two opened last year in Yokohama and Fukuoka, and in March 2023 they're opening in Osaka and Tokyo. Each one's a kind of department store with arcades, with UFO catchers and gachapon. There's figures and plastic models to build. Ichiban Kuji, which is where you buy a ticket and get a random prize. There's card games, merch and sweets. And they also have events. At the moment, the Fukuoka store has that Pui Pui Mall car pop-up. They look huge. And I'm thinking, with some of the older style arcades closing down, could this be the new, shinier, modern version of arcades, and that that sort of thing. The Tokyo store is going to be in Sunshine City Shopping Mall in Ikebukuro. It'll be 3,900 square meters, so it's going to be huge. And that opens just 2 days after the new flagship Animate store opens, also in Ikebukuro, and that's going to be the world's largest anime store. It looks like Ikebukuro is becoming a bit of a rival to Akihabara. Next, the second Nintendo store in Japan is now open in Osaka in Daimaru department store in Umeda. The first one's in Tokyo at Shibuya Parko department store. It has games and merch from Nintendo games like Animal Crossing, Super Mario and Splatoon. So if you're in Osaka for Super Nintendo World, you can take a look at the new store too. Someone in the comments told me that when it's busy at the shop, they give out timed tickets. So you might have to take a ticket and come back later. So just be aware of that. Next, Japan news isn't usually about convenience store items, but there's a new special item at Family Mart that I just had to show you. Hotcake steamed buns. They always have a cabinet of hot food on the counter at convenience stores, and one section's for steamed buns. My favourite is the Pizza Man, which has cheese and tomato inside. This one is a combination of steamed bun and pancake with syrup inside. It's served hot and it looks delicious. Next, if you're going to Hiroshima, I highly recommend also going to Miyajima. Sometimes it's also called Itsukushima. There's a torii gate that looks like it's floating in the water, there's wild deer walking around, there's a ropeway, and it's just a beautiful place. When the tide goes out, you can walk right up to the gate. There's a video about it on my channel. You can even go there as a day trip from Kyoto and Osaka. But for the last few years, since summer 2019, they've been doing renovations on the gate. So the centerpiece of Miyajima has been covered in scaffolding, and for a while it was completely covered by a tent. But the good news is, in December, they completely removed all the scaffolding. The renovations are now complete, so you can get the beautiful view of Miyajima once again. Next, there's a new cafe in Harajuku with an unusual theme. It's called Anakuma Cafe, which means bear in a hole. When you go in, the cafe looks completely empty without any staff. You place your order on a touchscreen, and then when it's ready, it's handed to you through a hole in the wall by a fluffy bear paw. On their website, there's a staff list which tells you which bear is which by the colour of their fur. The cafe aims to raise awareness of forest conservation. It is a bit pricey, but they do donate money to preserve forests, and everything's fair trade and sustainable. There's a similar cafe in Osaka called Kuma no Te, which means bear paw cafe. That one aims to raise awareness of mental health issues. The staff are people suffering from various emotional disorders who might not feel comfortable working somewhere where they're face to face with customers. So working at the cafe helps them reintegrate into society. And the cafe is also a safe space for people who don't feel comfortable going into a regular cafe. So at first I thought the whole bear paw thing seemed like a bit of a gimmick, but it's good to know both these cafes have a genuine agenda for doing some good in the world. And finally, I've got a preview of a new shopping mall that's being built in Harajuku to open later this year called Harajuku Quest. I don't know if there'll be anything interesting inside it, but the architecture is quite unusual and I like the name. I want to go on a Harajuku Quest, the quest for kawaii. I also spotted this one that's planned for Shibuya. They're not going to start building that one until 2025, but in any case, it's good to know that not all the new buildings in Tokyo are just boring glass boxes. Some of them do look pretty creative. So I hope you enjoyed that. We've had lots of pop-up theme cafes, new restaurants and new shops. Tell me what you're most excited about. And I'll see you not next week, but the week after on Thursday. Bye bye.